Can the gaming space be ever again for everyone who actually enjoy games? Or must we fight an uphill battle against those who want to destroy what we had for decades, which is fun games for everyone? Who is the modern audience that some gaming companies love to cater to? I may or may not answer these and more questions when we have a good talk about the truth of DEI implementations, politics, fanservice, language, translations, and cultural colonialism in video games and anime. Manga also included. To clarify, I don't intend this channel to be a DramaTube channel where I talk about each and everything the games journalists do that's either a bad thing or disparaging us, the consumers. But if I did that, I'd have content for every day, I suppose. My aim on this channel is to mainly focus on the good look at games series, which are long form videos taking a good look at one game per video. I explore all the aspects of it, the graphics, sounds and music, story, gameplay, and locations where the game takes place. Each game is an adventure, it's an art form. It must be appreciated, I believe. Some videos are 30 minutes, others are 3 or more hours. Depends on what the game has to offer, how much time I need to talk about it. Take a look at it. But there are some topics that I have to talk about simply. Some points I see people either taking the wrong approach to when discussing, either because they're being manipulated, steered in that direction, or stuff people don't consider because they're focused on what's in front of them only. Like this first topic of politics versus fanservice. As always, let's go by parts, but for this kind of topic, my daughter, she's the other side, here. She will not be joining us today. For her, good times only. Let me just show you the package she came in. It's this one. It's absolutely beautiful, but if you take out the sleeve, it's transparent. It's the Claw book. Ooh, look at that. Very nice. This is a form of fanservice. I also have the other Claw book that has the cards inside it. You can take it out. These are cards that came with the Japanese edition of the manga, one for each character. These are the cards. Let me show them to you. They are all the 52 cards from the anime. The manga has 17 or so. But enough preamble, I'll just go through the chapters. I'll try to separate it. They intermingle a little bit too much, but I'll try to make separate cards for the separate topics. Let's go. Sometimes when translating material, some bad faith people try to inject some Americanisms in Japanese media, ignoring or just disrespecting the source material. Usually Japanese media, be it games, anime, manga, and other things, They have fanservice for a wide range of tastes, but certain groups wanna restrict these fanservices to them and them only. They will claim it's politics, usually gender politics, and tell you that you are a bad person for not agreeing with them. Do not be fooled by this rhetoric. They want to drag the conversation away from yours and their tastes, which it's what it is, into politics. And then say that your politics are bad by associating one to the other. If you take the woke character, especially if it's race or sexually swapped ones, they are usually equated to left-leaning American politics, since they claim it's this kind of politics are lead to the betterment of society. Then the other one obviously must be the complete opposite. So attractive anime girls or women in general, they are equal to right-wing American extremism. Since you are not in favor of those woke politics, they are advocating by including or changing the characters into a woke character, you must be a right-wing extremist. You must be racist, homophobic, misogynistic, and thus every argument you possibly have in defense of your tastes is invalid. You can do nothing about it. Let me repeat. Do not be fooled. This is a false dichotomy. This is not gender politics. It's not politics at all. You know what is politics? Political? This is political. This is not political. It's about fanservice, control, which leads to ultimately money. When people say all games are political, it's a false statement. It's a lie, a deception, a bamboozlement. People who say this are either ignorant of what politics actually are, or are in bad faith. I will explain what politics is. Don't worry, it's coming. But there is a big difference between something being political and being fanservice. Usually, this political statement is used to masquerade or serve as a shield to bad business practice. Usually in case of the PR arm of big companies, aka games journalists, while conferring extra points in reviews when done by the right crowd. You know, only a certain type of reviewer get the game, then gives it a big number. Oh, it's 90%, it's 100%. For example, this year's not winner of anything, Dragon Age, Veilguard. Anyway, for those who want to advocate for this type of woke fan service and hear that this is politics and sincerely believes I'm talking to you, especially pay attention to this video. Listen to the facts and logic. If you wanna argue with me, do so in a civilized manner down in the comments. Listen to my arguments. Propose alternate theories. Let's talk about it. I may do a response video about this. I'm going to explain to you all why people who aren't the ones pushing for the woke fan service, why they don't want it, why the general public don't want this, why is it being so pushed back against, and why companies actually put the woke fan service in this game. It's not for the reason you think about. When they talk to you, they say one thing, not true at all. We'll get to that. My aim with this video is to educate people who might be misguided by either a false sense of moral superiority because of the content in the media they consume, what it has, what it represents. It does not make you a better person. Just because it has no anime girls with big boobs in a bikini, it does not make you superior. Your actions are what define you, not what you post on Twitter about a video game. You will not make the world a better place. I'm going to cover all of that either in this video or in a little series of videos. Maybe this is a part 1. Let's see how much I do, how much I can record and edit. Maybe this is a part 1. Anyway, obviously I will not just say, oh, having a black trans character in the game is not politics and you have to believe me because I only said so and that's it. That's not how an explanation works. That's not how conversation works in general. In civilized society, we need to adhere to certain standards when conversing or discussing topics. This minimum standard, I think, in a video like this is language. We don't have language for nothing. Words, each word have a specific meaning. If we don't know what we are even talking about, what the words we're saying means, any type of discussion we'll have will always be fruitless. Every time. We'll each stay in our own little islands screaming to the skies. Everyone, oh, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. It will be to no avail. We won't be better as a society. Now, everyone, please pay attention to this lesson. I'll explain what politics and what fanservice is, and the difference between them will be apparent immediately. From Wikipedia, politics, from the ancient Greek politika, or affairs of the cities, is the set of activities that are associated with making decisions in a group or other forms of power relations among individuals, such as the distribution of status or resources. The branch of social science that studies politics and government is referred to as political science. Of course, we will not check only one source, because Wikipedia is not infallible. We also have Cambridge Dictionary for us to look into politics. 1. The activities of the government, members of lawmaking organization, or people who try to influence the way a country is governed. 2. The job of holding a position of power in the government. 3. The study of the ways in which a country is governed. Politics is how we arrange ourselves in a civilized society. It's how we deal with different countries, how we choose which resources will be allocated for what purposes. For example, I went to the United States, to Florida. They basically don't have transportation infrastructure because the government there don't want to invest in it. Meanwhile, New York, it's full of the subway. It's very good. I loved it very much. In Florida, you must get a car. You must get an Uber. Buses are few and far between. This is purview of politics. Also, war themes are political. How a ruling class deals with societal woes is political. How the state views its citizens is political. How much the citizens have, or in most of the cases, lack power for change is political. The day-to-day intrigue of inside of a company is also political because, structures of power. Now, this is where it might get confusing for people without either the attention span or capacity to think. What rules and laws affect the individual expression of people? This is political. This is where politics and gender and sexuality collide. If, for example, you are born a man and want to identify yourself as a woman, can you go to a place where only women are allowed to enter or attend? Can you enter the feminine bathroom? What does the law say about that? Can you be executed for it? Is it okay for you to enter it? Can you change your ID? And in official government filling papers, when it's asked for your sex, can you respond with female? This is a political issue regarding sexuality or gender. Politics is not how people are represented in the arts in general. As we just saw, it does not concern the arts, how people are in the artwork, only how they are viewed by the ruling class, the struggles they go through, etc. It's not a concern of politics how diverse the skin tone of a cast of character is. What percentage of the cast is gay or have different pronouns. Or if changing a character that was not trans into a trans character due to bad faith translation occurs or not. That's fanservice. But some people might ask, isn't fanservice when big boobs bounce around and the girl fall into the lap of a guy at the same time, all her clothes explode out and she screams, "Yeah!" Let's see what fanservice actually means. Once again, take note of this lesson. According to Wikipedia, fanservice or fanservice or service cut, sabiscato, is material in a work of fiction or in a fictional series that is intentionally added to please the audience, often sexual in nature, such as nudity. The term originated in Japanese, in the anime and manga fandom, but has been used in other languages and media. It's all about servicing the fans, giving the fans exactly what they want. Fan service can also refer by means of text, symbols, images, and sound to other stories that contains visual elements. As with the politics, we will not only look at Wikipedia, but also, once again, Cambridge Dictionary. Fanservice is stories, characters, actions, etc. that are included in a film, television show, computer game, comic book, performance, etc. in order to please its fans. The brightest of you all might already have figured out exactly what I want to say in the next minutes. But let's go through it. As I said, Wikipedia is not exclusively a good source because they are not unbiased. So always, when searching for a source of something, have at least two sources that agree on a definition for you to actually see what it's all about. Here we have a slight deviation, but both agree on one main point, which is the most basic, which is the crux of the concept. It is obvious when you see and pay attention to the written word. Fan service. It's about servicing the fan, giving the fan what they want to see. Be it pretty girls with big boobs in cleavage, gay bare sex, old ugly grocery store aunties. This is all fan service. But as we just saw, it's not restricted to sexual content or even type of character that a certain crowd is attracted to. Beautiful vistas, caves, sea, desert, sky islands, that's me. It's my fan service. If you want to make a game to please me, include the sky island in your game. If you want me to take a good look at your game and want you to bump it up a few points, have a sky island in it. I love them. Dinosaurs, mecha, tanks, guns, robots, cars, cats, all these things, all fan service. Specific character tropes and stereotypes. The buff guy, the twink, the pretty girl, the girl boss, all of them, all fan service. Themes of love, betrayal, power trip, even political themes. They are a type of fan service. It's something added especially for those whom the author knows will enjoy it. Usually, when you have a certain work of art, you unconsciously or consciously create a demographic for it. Might be yourself, might be the general audience, might be the LGBT people, the gays plus. Let's go with gays plus, it's easy to say. Take Dragon Ball for example. You have in the beginning of story cool vehicles, these very nice robots or androids. For example, let's take this guy. This guy. Look at him. He's been in the background of most of my videos. If you don't know who this guy is, it's android number 2 from the first part of Dragon Ball before Z. He's from the Red Ribbon Army. Look at him. Look at how cool he is. This is a type of fan service. Cool vehicles. Another one from the Red Ribbon Army. Look at this. It's a flying vehicle. There's a guy here. He's transparent. It's a little hard to see. Anyway. Go back to your post. Him too. He's watching over us. Why are they in the work? Because Toriyama liked them. And he made the manga for those who appreciate it. He loves cool vehicles. He loves dinosaurs. He loves robots. So he put all of them. He was a fan. And he made it as a fan service. At the beginning, the manga, especially the anime, the first anime too, have a lot of sexual jokes and situations. It's not really that explicit. There's obviously no sex in it, but there's a lot of panty shots, dirty jokes. He also likes them. It's a fan service. The public he make the art form for. It's young boys. For the Shonen Jump. Shonen is young boys. So, of course, young boys like their jokes. He made it for them. It made a huge success. He gradually moved away from basically all of those things to focus on fights because it's Shonen Jump. Shonen Jump is, unless you are Eiichiro Oda, you can't not focus on the battles. Usually most manga in there concentrated. Those who enjoy this type of content will flock to it because it appeals to them. Of course, having a good story with beautiful art also helps a lot in any work. I will focus a little bit on the controversial part of it, which is beautiful and young versus ugly and old characters, aka normal fanservice versus woke fanservice. Yes, because it is normal and healthy to be attracted to a youthful, beautiful woman with plentiful chests and buttocks. It's it's not gunning. It's not, oh, you're a porn addict. No, it's not porn addiction. If you want to have beautiful people in the games I want to play, it's a very bad faith argument that doesn't even mean anything. Sex appeal is not pornography. Neither is just having a beautiful woman fully clothed. People say, oh, it's porn. No, it's not. Don't be prude. Also saying well-endowed, beautiful women in games is bad because it's unrealistic is kinda unfair to people who have big boobs and are beautiful. Of course, they exist. My fiancée is quite well endowed and she does complain about the representation when they take out the boobs. But I guess only ugly people without assets matter, huh? This is the part where I connect to the thing I was talking before. They want representation for them only. They only want the fan service that is theirs. Why are these types of characters, be they ugly, beautiful, put in any media? It is for choosing the audience you wish for your product. As I said, in the manga for teenage boys and adult men too, there will be beautiful women of all kinds. It is what we want. We are the fans. We all have our tastes. And they usually don't change throughout the course of our lives. Spoiler alert. Take a shoujo manga. You find different themes, different fan service, guys with broad shoulders and a powerful stare, towering over a woman saying, I'll protect you, don't worry about it, girl. I'll stress this point because it's a very important part of the lesson. As is the case with most media, fan service is for the fans. If you have a piece of media with a certain type of fan service, please do not expect, or worse, demand that people who don't like it, that they buy or interact with it. It's not gonna happen. If I don't like old and ugly grocery store aunties, I am not gonna be inclined to purchase the game with that sort of main character. There is, however, space for fanservice for everyone. Yes, those games, anime art that have the old grandma exist for the guild chasers out there. They do have the right to exist. Games like Dustborn, they are not well liked by a lot of people, but they do have all the right in the world to exist for the couple dozen people that bought and enjoyed it. I will not make any judgment of quality or morality. In this case, there are only two facts. The right for it to exist is there, and the fact that it has not sold a lot of copies. For the attention it got specially. It got a lot of attention, but people looked at it. If they liked it, they would have bought it. Another example. Let's take the Wukong game, the monkey game. It was lambasted by the gaming journalists, but people looked at it. Oh, it looks like it's an interesting game. I like the fan service that is in here. I like the teams. I like the gameplay. I'll buy it. Then it sold a lot. Games like Dustborn, games like Wukong have as much right for its own space as there's space for games and anime with cute ojo-samas with big boobs and even bigger drills. It is hypocrisy of the highest order to go around spewing sewage out of your mouth. Like, oh, this game is bad because there's a beautiful woman in it. I can't take it. Take it down right now, this instant. It's bad and misogynistic while you're praising your own fan service. Yes, finally, penile and scrotum physics and a bare male ass to ogle. Our prayers have been answered. The game board is advancing. Yes, both of these types of articles are real, made by game journalists. To clarify for anyone who is curious, whenever I say the word journalists or journalism in quotes for the game journalists, it's because everyone knows they're basically PR arms of big companies and obviously biased towards games that their friends consulted on, or they are biased against for games that appeal to customers, the ones that they should actually be working for the benefits of instead of themselves. Also, sometimes the same company that owns a game dev company, a publisher, also owns the press. So you just know. As I said, the recent Dragon Age debacle is a perfect example of that. Or they are instructed to just produce clickbait for the ad revenue. Worse than that, Logan Paul guy is simply disgusting. For all the venom and bile they spew, it seems like most of them really wanted to work on something else, anything else, but could only get this type of job. So they are very bitter about it. It's honestly disingenuous and unprofessional. It is, as the saying goes, you can't spell ignorance without IGN. Also, it's important to note that it's not only because the devs favor Fanservice is a diverse cast of characters that they included it. There are also some other very important reasons, because the decision to diversify characters most often than not come from the higher ups in the company, not necessarily from the dev themselves. The difference between indie and published games sometimes is you have a higher up who actually decides what you are going to do. Like, for example, if a black artist wants to make a vain black woman that is beautiful, and after 10 revisions she comes back old and ugly, like a grocery store auntie, the decision was also made by a white person who is in charge, and that dev is reprimanded and actually forbidden from discussing the scene any further. It can cause some eyebrows to raise. Or the only black guy in feudal Japan being a samurai that goes around destroying property and killing Japanese people. Both of these example seems to me much more racist towards black people than not having a black person in the game. But okay, well, I don't know. But let's discuss why exactly this happens in the next section. DEI or die, white man. The also dreaded DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's talk about it. It is being applied both to companies and their products, mostly that concerns to us on games and anime. Despite the heavy pushback from the players and the products they are being made using these mandates failing spectacularly, these companies seem to, for some reason, be doubling down on DEI. Why is that? On the surface, it seems like a good thing, is it not? Equity, meaning everyone is equal, we have equal opportunities. Diversity and inclusion means every group is taken into account for a better society. Shouldn't it be what we strive for if our aim is to better our society, better the lives of us human beings? We should pursue it, right? Is DEI actually a bad thing? Or is it being merely misused for nefarious purposes? We might hear incessantly about DEI nowadays, especially in the gaming space. It's less than a year old. But we are looking at the tree that's on flames around the clearing we're in, and missing the rest of the forest that is burning down too. Before DI, the term on people's mind was ESG, environmental, social, and governance. DI is actually part of the S for social. But what does ESG actually means? Well, for that, once again, pay attention, class. According to Wikipedia, environmental, social, and governance (ESG) is shorthand for an investing, very important, investing principle that prioritizes environmental issues, social issues, and corporate governance. Investing with ESG considerations is sometimes referred to as responsible investing, or in more proactive cases, impact investing. It encompasses 1. Environmental aspect. Data is reported on climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity loss, deforestation, reforestation, pollution mitigation, energy efficiency, and water management. This is the first aspect, the E, environmental. Number 2, social aspect. Data is reported on employee safety and health, working conditions, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and conflicts and humanitarian crisis, and is relevant to in risk and return assessments directly through results of in enhancing or destroying customer satisfaction and employee engagement. This is a very important one. We'll come back to it. Number 3, governance aspect. Data is reported on corporate governance, such as preventing bribery, corruption, diversity of board of directors, executive compensation, cybersecurity and privacy practices, and management structure. Now, according to Investopedia, a wiki for investors, the definition is ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. ESG investing refers to how companies score on these responsibility metrics. It's a metric. You can measure it in numbers. Very important. And standards for potential investments. Environmental criteria gauge how a company safeguards the environment. Social criteria examines how it manages relationships with employees, suppliers, customers, and communities. Governance measures a company's leadership, executive pay, audits, internal controls, and shareholder rights. Very important. Now, according to Cambridge Dictionary, ESG, short for Environmental, Social and Governance, is a set of standards for measuring a business impact on society and the environment, as well as its transparency and accountability. So, what can we take from it? DEI is just a small fraction of this big ESG pie. And why is ESG so widely used? Because of investors. ESG itself was initially a way for companies to show their commitment to good company governance practices, that is, systems of controlling the company to impede corruption, theft, misuse of resources, all to show that it's a company that you can trust, it's a trustworthy company. Show to whom, you might ask? To investors. Not to the general public, it's for investors only. It became one of the go-to metrics that investors use to check on companies to see if they are solid enough to invest in. ESG is a metric. It has a score shown as a percentage. It's a quick number for investors to glance at and compare with other companies to choose which companies to invest in. A quick search for ESG scores shows us the top ESG rated companies, even the ones at the very top are like in the 70% mark. So you don't have to be perfect at everything, you know? You don't need to do the E, the S, and the G, everything. You know, to stay neutral or even have a good position. You might even twist your data assessment a bit to make it seem like it's a better company than it is. Let's make a thought experiment. Let's pretend for a moment that we have a gaming company and we are the upper management, we are the top brass. We make the decisions. We gotta make sure we are complying with the ESG for the stock to stay up. Do you know what costs money? Complying with it. So we gotta make sure we mitigate costs as much as possible. Less money that goes to everything else is more money for us. environmental. As a gaming company in a city, we don't produce, you know, toxic waste or anything like that. Put a solar panel on the roof, we're golden. G. Governance. Gotta make sure that all the accounting books are okay. As for the CEO and the top brass salaries, we can substitute this score even if it's low for something else, you know? We still got the G, the S. The G, we left it to the side, you know? Who needs governance? Social. What's there in social that we can comply to raise our score? Give equal opportunity to people, fair wages, employee rights. Who needs fair wages and employee rights? Too costly. But what is this? If we put DEI into the game itself, we can say we are in compliance without spending too much money. If we hire a couple of people that are into this DEI stuff, they will do it for themselves. We don't even need to do anything. Maybe we can pay a consultancy team to really nail the point that we are complying with the ESG standards. But that's still way less costly than complying with the rest, you know? Fair wages. Especially this one is fair wages and employee rights. Too costly, we don't need those. As an added bonus, we have the gaming press defending us, giving us a better score to our games. Because right now there's a culture war going on. And everything that's done for the team that the gaming journalists are in will get a better score. Gentlemen, I found our ESG compliance. This is the truth. The actual reason why the upper levels of companies shove DEI into games. It's free. Or at least much less costly than the alternative. Company exists to make money, not to spread a message. Individuals within the company might care for that and might use the cost savings to convince the upper management to implement the strategies and hire consultants they're friends with usually. But even without them, it costs the same having a conventionally attractive woman or an old ugly grocery store auntie on your game. But the auntie might just give you some of those delicious ESG points, you know? If the game sells, great. If it doesn't sell, write it off as a loss. Yeah, it's not your problem as the CEO. You will get your bonus either way. The top brass will still be paid. They will lay off staff at the bottom. Everything will reset for the next quarter. Even if the CEO were so hard to be blamed, they just talk to their friends and land another cushy CEO job. Usually with a bonus for going out of the company. No worries about that. Who cares if the game is good or not? That's the problem. This is the side of the developing company. The reason for the DEI injection in games. Money, pure and simple. It's not about equity, it's not about diversity, and it's not about inclusion. It's not about a message, and certainly not for a better world. I'm so sorry for those who believe this rhetoric, but having a black woman in the game will not stop the police from being violent towards black people. It will not stop women from getting paid less than men in the same position. It will not create a better society. Do you know what will? Pressuring politicians to implement good laws and make both the politicians and companies accountable for actual problems in our society that will change things, actual politics. Instead of arguing about fan service, if you thought this was the way, sorry to say this, you've been had, removing boobs from a character in a video game or changing a guy to being trans. I'll get to trans characters in a while. Will not make the poor people start receiving UBI. Sorry. It will not make the treatment of trans people better. If you believe that a multi-million-dollar company releasing a game with the message of eating the rich with a black woman as lead is anything other than lip service and ESG cashing points, I'm really sorry. The actual message here is don't ask questions. Just consume products and get excited for next product. Sorry about that. Companies are not your friends. When they pay for a logo of them in a cart at a pride parade, they are simply buying another ad space for a captive crowd. One that will defend the brand because the people identify with the brand because the brand is advertising there. Please refer to this handy guide for future uses. Another good reason to implement DEI is the double dipping. Financial incentives to implement DEI into a game. Europe, for example, has a grant through the Creative Europe program that gives funds to projects with diverse characters, meaning you get money for inserting this type of characters in the game. Then you get more money by selling the game. And same as last time, if it doesn't sell, no problem. You made the money already in the development. Maybe you can also write it as a loss, pay less taxes on the money you received. Dustborn is a very good example of this type of DI implementation. It overly relies also on the AI for the marketing of the game. But not only that, of course, they got money to make the game. They got the money if it sells, okay? If not, no problem at all. That's the reason for the top brass to have DI compliance in the games. But how do they happen? How are they implemented? Company politics, actual politics in this case. By the way, the employees are treated, arranged, company policies. When you hire the DEI crowd just for the sake of being DEI compliant, you end up with people who cares nothing about games. They are doing a job 9 to 5, the grind. No passion at all for games whatsoever. What's important to them? Power in their immediate vicinity. Company politics. Curbing trash talk between others, pronouns, HR stuff. You take out the soul of the employees working in an environment that should be creative. When you crush the spirit of creative people, or hire people who are not creative for a creative position, like writing and character design, or worse yet, you make the uncreative review and edit the work of the creatives, you get stuff like Concord. I swear every line that every character had felt like it passed through at least 10 corpos that make it more like a bad Marvel movie than anything else. Very bland, very bad. That's it for the companies making the games. What is in for those consulting companies? They are in for that good message, right? No, of course not. They're in for the money only. They know that putting a brown character in a game, making a woman ugly, will not be better for the society. They don't care about that. The CEO or founder of the company usually is rich already or comfortable enough, so they are minimally smart enough to know how this game is played. They found out that offering DEI services gives them money. And the thing is, they don't care about the games, they don't care about the art. They aren't writers. Meaning, when they are contracted to write a story, their stories and characters will not be well written, exactly because they don't care at all. They got the checklists of what you need to have and what not to have. Story, characters, and world be damned, you know. They used to love operating from the shadows, as they always have been, up until a spotlight was shone upon them. They didn't want to be known to the general public because they know they wouldn't be liked for the shabby job they do. Because, once again, they are not writers. They are consultants. And most importantly, once again, they have no passions for games. If you work in any field without passion, you will not produce a great product. Even a medium product, it will always be bad. You know? You must have people with passion. Also, don't be fooled thinking that the temporary retreat of one consultancy group is a win for the game players. I call us game players because gamers are over, right? There are loads of consultant firms, not only the ones bullying my fellow Brazilian Cabrutos. Shout out to him and his good job of informing customers of the products they are considering purchasing. He stood strong and fought those gringos trying to censor and silence him. Very nice. Força aí, mano. Bora lá. Ironic how those gringos talk about big and powerful groups trying to get them down while doing exactly the same. But if both the company and the consultants know that it's not about the message, why do they say this? As I said before, it's all about narrative and optics. They will say it's a good thing to do. And if you dare say anything negative about it, you're bad, very bad. Bigot, racist, misogynist, transphobic, grifter, cis white male. This might be the worst insult of them all in their minds. The journalists come in, will have their field day, having loads of topics to cover while making up hype for a game that's coming up soon, that they are promoting, that will certainly be a big hit. And if it isn't, shame on those bigots that didn't buy it. It's their fault. The journalists will get paid from one source or another, no matter what they do. They also usually don't care about the industry. It's just a job. If they lose it, they can go back to serving Starbucks, going on making OnlyFans, things like that, you know. The journalists are not the friends of the developers. They pretend to be, because when you reinforce the system that makes the lives of developers worse by promoting consultants and DEI instead of the actual ESG that would give a better life for developers, you deny those same developers of better life conditions. Shame on these journalists, rotted to the core. Disgusting. For the side of the customer, the actual fragile part of the chain, yet the most important one. Because without the customer, there's no industry. Why do we, game players, once again, since gamers are dead, let's call ourselves game players because we actually play the games, unlike the journalists. They don't even finish 10% of the games they play and they think it's enough to review a game, give it a fixed score that will be forever associated with it. Bad, very bad. Why do we, game players, reject DEI so much? Problem here is mainly optics. When the consumer sees that you are, instead of caring about the world, you are building stories, you are telling gameplay systems, instead of all that, you care just about the money, the message, as the companies put it, and game be damned, the customer will not care about your game. If you, who made the game, don't care, what do you expect for us to care? Makes no sense. To quote some clown from the gaming journalist scene, I don't remember who it was, gaming was always diverse. Yes, it was. Past tense, was. In the 80s, 90s, 2000s, we had diverse experiences in gaming with lots of different developers from different cultures and places making great games. Each of those places bred different experiences, worldviews, stories, characters. This is true diversity. It's not diversity when you have multiple skin tones or pronouns in the game. This is not diversity, especially when you have the same 3 to 5 group of people that all have the same opinions and cultures writing for video games. It becomes all stagnant, boring, fetid. Everywhere you look is the same Marvel writing, same types of characters, cookie cutter archetypes of safe, snarky, bantering, but only the pettiest possible banters, like arguing about coffee, no depth, different opinions, no arguing with each other. Everyone is nice, even the villains are nice. It baffles me that someone would have the gall to write a villain that respect the pronouns of people while killing thousands of people. This is not a villain, it's a puppet for the writer, a third-rate one at that. Having multiple skin colors but the same personality is not diversity, it's lip service. If you are shallow enough to buy into it, you are lacking in critical thinking capabilities enough to defend this type of thing, you become a shield for those companies. The rest of us game players, we see you for who you are. Sorry about that. No one likes seeing the same thing over and over again. This is the problem. All of these AAA games that are coming out and failing are the same thing. Different coat of paint. There's all this talk about diversity, but no actual diversity. Since, as I said, it's the same consultants that are consulting and writing for games, we get the same slop every time. You know, for movies, it was okay at first, once or twice they were turn off your brain and watch a movie type. It's too saturated now, the Marvel type. I mean, we had variety, now we are flooded with the same bad type of product. It's just also tiring. When the writer doesn't consider the circumstances of a setting just to insert some diverse characters, different gender, a different skin tone, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, like in the Yasuke case. Up until now, Assassin's Creed, you were playing a representative of the place, fitting the time period and place you're in. Not anymore, we don't need a Japanese samurai. They have enough representation. Quote from Ubisoft. We need an American black samurai. Funny that in the 2010s they kept crying whitewashing by having a white samurai in a movie. But a black samurai is okay because representation, as if we never had a black person in any media ever. People see right through it. If they're not part of the message, they see how disingenuous it all is. Combine that with the other aspects of bad writing, anachronism, and much more, you get an audience that don't want your product anymore. They chase the true diversity. It's what the indie scenes is offering us. Sometimes it's a game developed by a single person that comes from a completely different background than the self-hating white American middle class that must put someone with a darker skin tone in the game to not seem racist. These actual diverse devs make good and wonderful games with loads of different stories and perspectives. You know, the indie scene is marvelous. It's much better than the AAA any day. We're seeing releases of lots of different types of games, uh, different concepts, different types of story. You have everything you wish for. AAA is a thing of the past, almost. It's just a waste of money, I'd say. There's also another psychological aspect to wanting or not wanting to play a game. We feel better actually when we see and can play as beautiful characters than when we play with ugly ones. There's this effect called the Proteus effect. For more information on it and the studies conducted on this, I heavily recommend the wonderful video by Aydin Paladin titled Why Diverse Games Fail: The Myth of Needing to See Yourself. I, for example, have dismissed games where either the characters or themes I felt grossed by. For example, take this game, Cookie Cutter. The main character looks like she has elephantitis. It's a severe medical condition. Grossed me out greatly. It might seem to be a game that's fun otherwise. It's a Metroidvania. I'm skipping it, even though I love Metroidvanias. I couldn't really handle this character. Her design is just too much for me. Especially those legs. She's a robot. But why does she not look like she's diseased? Why do people do this? Of course, this is an example, extreme example of mine that stands out. Most of the time, people will just feel indifferent towards an unattractive character. If a game can't stand out on its world and characters, because usually these consultants don't do a good job at making good characters and stories, then the game must rely on gameplay alone. And that might not be enough. Let's talk a bit about Concord. The woke inclined people say the game have failed not because of the woke elements, which are, as I explained, for the most part fan service for certain crowds. The woke fan service. But the characters, even if diverse, they're bland. They have bad dialogues, voice acting, designs. It can't attract an audience. The gameplay, this leaves the gameplay only to be judged by. It's okay. It's another hero shooter. So it has no legs to stand on. Let's take a similar game. Recently released, Marvel Rivals. They have all of those aspects nailed down. The designs are nice. The aesthetic of the game is different. It's not a bland orange and drab color like Concord. That's horrible. Who chose those colors? Who does this? I don't know. Anyway, Marvel Rivals, great character designs, good voice acting. The writing seems to be okay. I haven't played it, but I have watched some of it. It's okay. You have a better writing than the movies, at least right now. That's fan service done right. That's mostly what you need. Gameplay seems fun. It's free. Another thing it had over Concord. I don't know why they didn't release it for free. They thought the Helldivers 2 formula was enough. Helldivers 2, for example, another Sony game, $4, same as Concord, completely different. The designs are good. The characters, the world is well done. It's all cohesive, you know. You don't even see the faces of people. You don't need to. You don't need to know if it's a white person, a black person, indigenous. Let's check some other recent examples. Baldur's Gate 3, for example. It might have some woke elements, but honestly, it seems to have options for everyone, woke crowd included. That's why the journalists praised it so much after all. But there's also options for other groups. If you are straight, you have options. If you want the bare sex, you can have it. It's also very funny to note that this game actually has sex scenes. Same with Mass Effect, you have sex scenes in the game. No journalists bat an eye, but if an anime game has a cleavage, oh, it's porn addiction. Yeah, this isn't porn, right? But the other one is hypocrisy of the highest degree. Disingenuous. Anyway, back to Baldur's Gate. It's a D&D game with beautiful graphics. It seems to have good gameplay. Story seems to be good. You can have a lot of options to explore everything. I say seems to because I haven't played it, because this game costs a lot right now here in Brazil. For those who didn't know, I'm Brazilian. As I said, my fellow Cabrutus is Brazilian. I'm not about to pay 200 reais for a single game anytime soon, when most indie games, and if I can get a 50% discounted game for $20, 20 reais, I'd rather get that. As I said in another video, there's a wisdom that says never pay more than $20 for a computer game. I choose to interpret that as reais, $20 flat. I rarely pay more than 20 reais for any game. I have also a lot of games in my Steam library, so I'm not thirsting for games. But as I said, people say gameplay, story are good. The game has legs to stand on. Another example, Black Myth Wukong, the monkey game. doesn't have woke elements. It's a game about a monkey beating up Chinese gods. What are you gonna do? Turn Buddha into a black trans guy? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. It's another culture. It has its own story. It's a licensed game because it's based on an old tale, The Journey to the West. It's the story of Son Wukong. For those who sings Dragon Ball, Son Goku is based on Son Wukong. It's an action game. The gameplay seems very good. Once again, it's expensive right now. I'm not about to buy it anytime soon. I wait for a 75 plus discount. Base price to go down here in Brazil too. Then I may buy it. Let's see another example of new-ish games. Dustborn was a very woke game. Gameplays so-so, but the designs really put people off, you know. There's also this bad game with normal fanservice, Babylon's Fall. I had to dig this one up because I didn't remember it at all. I couldn't remember about this one. Is 2 years old. It's recent enough, I'd say. It attracted people with the character designs, with the story, but the gameplay didn't live up to it, so people abandoned it very quickly. In a year, it was shut down. So it's not all about the woke fanservice versus normal fanservice. Gameplay is half the equation, but if you make attractive characters, people will be attracted to it. That's why it's attractive, you know? Attract. Also, I didn't say out loud, but I was listing basically games, woke and non-woke games that made and not made success. They're good or not good. I will not talk about the games that are bad and successful and woke, because I don't want any Last of Us fans angry at me. So let's just move on. As I said, it's not that it's woke or not. It's the right fan service for the right target audience. It all circles back to what the customer wants, back to the optics, with the addition of passion by the developers. Usually, people with a passion for one subject tend to prioritize it. People with a passion for video games will make usually a good video game. People with a passion in gender studies will prioritize it. It will make a game that features gender studies, not gameplay. And obviously the game will be worse off for it. We have a lot of different examples in recent times. Repeat it dozens of times and you get why people are now seeing woke qualities in a game and assuming it's bad automatically. It's a human trait called pattern recognition. It's seeing the red flags rise up. If you are not gonna make a game that interests me, I'm not gonna buy. Simple as that. As I said before, all of these games, all of them, they have the right to exist. Dustborn can exist, no problem. You wanna make a game where everyone is brown, every white person is bad, every man is bad. The Dragon Age game is basically the same. They also have... Anyway, they have the right to exist, but don't expect us to buy. Simple as that. Go chase your modern audience. Problem is, the modern audience is really small. That's why some devs, some companies choose to put DEI on already established franchises so they can sell based on name alone, and then go around saying, oh, see, the DEI is what made the game sell. People crave the DEI. But then it backfired on them because the Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws, didn't sell enough. The Dragon Age game didn't sell enough. Not nearly. Concord, gutted. Concord is not from a franchise they wanted it to be. Same as that Unknown 9, I think. They wanted it to be a whole universe from the get-go. That's not how it works. You first make a good project, then it gets turned into an ever-expanding multimedia project. In conclusion, we, the customers, the game players, we see the bad faith, we see the bad writing, we see the bad everything that these games have to offer. We just don't care. Take it out of here. We want good games. It's easy, it's simple. Make a good game. Ugly characters will not help make a game good. I talked a lot. Let's cut off the video here. This was part 1 of this a good talk about the truth of DEI implementations, politics, fanservice, language translation, cultural colonialism, and video games in anime. In the next video, I'll tackle more the part of language translation and cultural colonialism. Wait for it. Next week will probably be another good look at a game. Please, if you are seeing this video, this is the first video of mine you are watching, consider checking out the others. If you liked this video, press the thumbs up. The thumbs up. If you dislike it, you can press the thumbs down, no problem. It generates engagement, same thing. Leave me a comment. Let's talk. Let's discuss. Argue with me. Why do you think I'm right, I'm wrong? I might incorporate it in the next part. That seems a good idea. We keep a conversation. You guys talk about it in the comments. I respond to things. Maybe add another point that I didn't make. But do check out my other videos. I am very proud of my work in the videos that I take a good look at games. Check out especially the Magic Cat and the Delete ones. Anyway, thank you so very much everyone for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.